Welcome back, everyone. This is the FIS Battle of the Champions live in Alas Oasis, Saudi Arabia. I'm Ryan Meyer. This is Dowell now, and that means we're about to get ready to do the BMX Freestyle Finals happening right behind us on this absolutely incredible course sculpted by Hurricane Parks. Daryl, so nice to have you out here in Saudi Arabia.
Thank you, Ryan. It's a really big honor. Not only do we have some of the best BMX riders in the world, but it's so cool to be here in Saudi Arabia the second time with FIS, and we're introducing BMX to all new fans around the world. It is very exciting to be here.
You take a look at that beautiful course sculpted by Hurricane Parks right there, but let's get into the introduction of how these riders are going to roll out. We had a 12-man qualification invitation right there.
And right now we have 8 riders that wound up qualifying. They're going to have 2 runs up to 60 seconds on the clock, and the best run counts. That is right. This is a best run count format. 2 runs up to 60 seconds apiece, and there are 8 riders. Yesterday we had our qualifier of 12 riders. They were selected from the FIS World Series overall rankings of 2018.
You see right there, this is going to be the criteria that you have. A freestyle discipline, of course. We have difficulty, amplitude, some originality. Some things that you like to talk about a lot, Daryl, is originality as well within these freestyle disciplines.
Yeah, it's going to come down to the consistency of the 60 seconds on the clock. Our judges are going to be giving a numeric value from 0 to 100 based on a rider's approach onto the course. So we do have our 3 judges who are industry icons and riders themselves. We have Alex Dropsy, who's coming from France. He's a trails legend. From the north of France, another trails rider, we have Romuald Noro, known as Bibi. And then we also have from Germany the very talented, skilled vert ramp rider and also puts on events on his own right, Akim Kudrowski. So those are our 3 judges. It's not an easy job at all to put the numeric value to it.
Those 3 judges up there were doing the dirty work yesterday to get those 12 down to 8. Let's see how it ended up. Brandon Lupos winning run from qualifications yesterday.
So this was our top qualified rider coming all the way from Sydney, Australia. Brandon Lupos really dominated on the course with very powerful, in-control riding. You see the confidence as he does that downside tail whip over the channel and then a backflip double tail whip known as the helicopter. You see him set up with that wall ride into a double tail whip over the hip. There is a flying no-hander. So Lupos really, you could just see utilizing every ramp on the course. There was that 900 where he had that spin, and the rotation on that was so unique as far as the way he had control and was able to tuck at the end of it. You don't see many riders doing a 900. You don't see many of them doing it with style, and that's why Brandon Lupos came out on top.
You know, you saw that big run from Lupos pushed out in the qualifications yesterday. I mean, this isn't a typical format. This is the big show. It is the FIS Battle of the Champions. We've invited 12 riders, 12 the best. It's not an anyone can enter contest. We really had the top best come out here to push forward. We're ready to introduce the top 8 to you right now. Let's lead down to Catfish on the floor and show you who's going to be riding in this finals.
من فرنسا يا جماعه انا عارف وصلتكم قديش انا مبسوط اني هنا في الحاسه فتحيه للحاسه واهلا.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we to the moment we've all been waiting for, the Battle of Champions here in Al Hassa. Are you ready to meet your riders? Representing Venezuela, Daniel Dares. From the United States of America, Justin Dowell. From Youngstown, Ohio, USA, Nick Bruce. Representing Croatia, Marin Rantesh. From Kazan, Russia, Eric Razayev.
من روسيا إيريك يابا يا جماعة.
From Brisbane, Australia, Logan Martin. From St. Petersburg, Russia, Kostya Andreev. And your #1 qualifier Brandon Lupos!
There you go.
1 minute to warm up.
There you go. That is the top 8 out of our 12 invited huge professional BMX freestyle athletes out here at the Battle of the Champions in Los Oasis. We are incredibly elated to come out here and perform for the Saudi Arabian public. This is the first time for many of them that they have ever been able to witness action sports in a live experience. It is an absolutely amazing honor. We have to thank so many people and individuals out here for putting this all together.
Yeah, it's unbelievable the fact that we get a chance to not only have world-class riding, but we are exposing so many new people to action sports. I know a lot of riders around the world were saying, why are you guys going to Saudi Arabia? I didn't know there was a BMX scene out there. Exactly. That's been one of FIS's missions from the beginning, not only to put on the best competitions possible, but to say, how can we expand the sport? How can we have an outreach? And how can we make it grow? So FIS definitely does that from all of their schools that they have in Montpellier, but then also the global contest, and now here being in Saudi Arabia.
You look right there, that's our social media that was at the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. Make sure you guys follow us on all the respective channels. YouTube has a huge push. We have some incredible content going right now on our YouTube channel, so all you have to do is go over to youtube.com, type in FIS, F-I-S-E, and you find our page right there. It's an interesting showdown as is coming right here. The man who has won basically every title that there is known to the BMX world. This is Daniel Dares, and he just slipped by, working his way into that 8th place position, which was that bubble position there, Daryl.
Yeah, Ryan, that's a really good point to bring up. Daniel Dares is usually on top of the podium, if not standing in the 1st place position. It's very unlikely to see him just squelch by in a qualifier. That's why he's riding in 8th. We're going to see if this winds up changing things as far as his technique goes out there, because it's all about strategy, especially if you're Daniel Dares, and if you're the first rider to go, you don't have an opportunity to look at what the other riders are doing on the course, knowing how much to pour it on. But right now, Daniel Dares is jumping head first into our course as he is throwing down some very big variations.
We're talking about being welcomed with open arms out here. The Saudi Arabian public have come out in drones tonight to watch the BMX freestyle competition unfold. There's that beautiful 360 double tail coming from the spine onto the box jump landing. I just want to give a big shout out to the GSA, the General Sports Association authorities of Saudi Arabia, for coming out and really wanting to push physical activity to the youth out here in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, well, right now, Daniel Dares is looking to push his run to the max with 5 seconds to go. Let's see if he can put something big together. 360 no-foot can-can to tail whip and a flare at the buzzer right there. That is time for our first rider, Daniel Dares. So we're going to have an opportunity to see a few of the highlights of many. There is an off-axis 720 with the can-can. It's called the can-can because he put his foot right over the top tube. There's a look at the 360 tail whip, and when he puts his feet back on the pedals, he has enough time to rotate the handlebars around. There you see a variation of a similar trick, that time going with 2 tail whips instead of the bar spin at the end. And here's a look at the no-foot can-can 360 to tail whip. So scores, again, are based on a numeric value 0 to 100, and the format is best run counts. Why do we make such an emphasis about that? Well, that changes everything as far as a rider's concerned on the course. It gives them a little bit more freedom out there to wind up trying to roll the dice in the risk-reward as far as a score goes. Because regardless of what score Daniel Dares gets right now, he could approach his second run in a different way, and an 85.66. That is a very high score. That actually would have been one of the top qualifying scores from yesterday.
That is an incredibly high score, actually, to push out. The judges are really wanting to push the envelope and make sure that they get the weight accordingly. Justin Dowell right here dropping in.
Dowell, another young rider from the U.S., coming all the way from Virginia Beach. Dowell had a huge 2018 series. Yes, going double bar spin with the truck driver over the box backwards. Yeah, 2018, he had a phenomenal year. He actually wrapped up getting the 1st place finish at the UCI Cycling Urban World Championships. Yes! And he was able to win the UCI coveted rainbow jersey. Now, right now, this competition, the Battle of the Champions, is not a points race as far as a season, such as the Feast World Series or even a qualifier towards the 2020 Olympics for BMX Freestyle, which is going to be the first time we're going to see BMX in the Olympics. This is a special contest just for our riders kicking off the season. And Dowell right now is finding some great lines with that flare turn down. So Dowell, 5 seconds to go, 450 over the hip. And at the buzzer is going to put down a 540, nice and smooth coming in. So Dowell right there getting a full run. Dowell is actually rocking a brand new frame. You can see on the highlights, it actually says Laird frame on the top tube. Mike Laird just welded this custom frame, the geometry that Justin Dowell wants, and you see him putting it to use with one of the best tricks of his run. That was that tail whip into a bar spin over the hip. There we saw that Twix. That's where there's a tail whip with the bar spin in one. That was always a dream trick for many years. And Dowell putting down his first run. So 2 riders have taken the course of our first 4 from heat number 1. So we broke the riders down into 2 separate heats. They're gonna have the 2 runs apiece. And Dowell right now, his fate is in the hands of the judges. Dowell grew up in Virginia Beach. You guys might think of him as a park rider because he does so well in the park competitions, but he grew up riding everything. If it was the local dirt trails, if it was riding street, or his local park, which he obviously shows some dominance in, being at the Battle of the Champions. If it's got 2 wheels on it, he absolutely loves to ride and just have a really good time.
So as we're waiting for those scores to come in, right now the man on top is the first rider to drop, and we've just noted that it is such a high score. First man out, an 85.66 from Daniel Dares. That's going to be one that is difficult to rival for the other competitors coming up into this event. We're waiting for the score to come in for Justin Dowell right now, and you see it revealed on screen there. A huge score as well, an 84.66, only 1 point down from Daniel Dares. As we move forth to our next rider, that's not going to be him, that's Marin Rantis, our last rider to drop in this heat. The next rider up is going to be Nick Bruce, none other.
I think right now we are getting some of the things sorted out, and there is the smiling man, Nick Bruce. I believe that Nick thought he was going to be going in a different qualifying order out there based off of yesterday, but it looks like we wind up switching things up, and Nick Bruce dropping in right now. Nick hailing all the way from Ohio. Big no-handed 360 backflip known as the air traffic controller. Nick Bruce charging towards the step up. Backflip bar spin. You see the confidence out of Bruce as he throws a tail whip straight to the pedals. Downside 360 tail whip, Ryan. Wow, indeed, that was a really cool move, especially going blind off the step up backwards.
That step up turns into a step down. Then look at that 360 double tail whip over the box jump backwards, coming up into the box jump the straight way now. 360 downside whip to whip back. That's also known as a windshield wiper right there.
Yes, big no-hander for Bruce, floating through the friendly skies here in Saudi Arabia as he kicks a double downside tail whip. Bruce with 10 seconds to go. Let's see if he has the stamina that it takes to make a full run here. Foot plant up on the wall. 3, 2, 1.
Oh! Holding on. Nick Bruce holding on to that. I don't know if that was a flat 5 or a 9 right there.
I think it was a surprise out of Nick, the fact that he was able to keep the rubber side down on his tires. You saw that he did a hard exit off the side of the ramp right there. Nick actually had a flat just before the competition started, literally moments beforehand. So he had to scramble, get his bike changed, and everything going. But you would not be able to tell the fact that he had such a clean execution on that no-handed 360 backflip, the way he just floated through the air and was able to spot the landing. Taking a look at another highlight from his run, that was the downside 360 tail whip floating through the air, and then he kicks with his foot, the frame going back in the other direction. And there was a look at that 540 flare somewhere in that flat spin. He didn't get the rotation all the way around, but Nick has so much power and also bike control. He was able to just put his tires down and then use that power to just drive off the side of the ramp. Thankfully, not crashing or putting a foot down.
Let's as well take a note of that was the ender run to that heavy first run coming out of Nick Bruce. I mean, this was the final thing at the very last moment. To be able to still have that much energy in your tank to pull either a flat 5 or however many rotations that was, that just shows the fitness level of these athletes coming out here and wanting to do best. And look at that, best it was a 90.33. Nick Bruce is your new leader and the first rider to push into the 90s out here at the Battle of the Champions.
Wow, so Nick putting the big score right on top where he belongs at 90.33. Well, our fourth rider is no stranger to being in the first place. He was actually our first place overall finisher at the FIS World Series. That means through all of our stops last year, he came out on top with the highest score in the accumulation throughout all of our stops. Right now, this is not part of that points race, but this is the Battle of Champions. So the Croatian rider, Marin Rantić, looking to roll in.
Marin Rantić was sitting, went down. I think that was a 360 triple tail whip.
So Marin looking to put the risk reward all on the line with a very big trick out there, putting 4 in 1, that 360, looking for the triple tail whip coming around. That is a tongue twister. Imagine doing it while you're floating over one of the biggest box jumps in BMX, looking for your pedals. He wasn't able to find it in time. He wound up falling down. But the way a rider and the way this works, the clock ticks until 60 seconds. If a rider wants to continue on the course, they are more than welcome to. So if they're not hurt or their bike's not messed up, you can take use of that clock or you could wind up waving it off. This is best run format that counts, so most likely the riders you're not going to see get back on the course. If it was an overall approach, they would. But in the event, unevently alike that we have a tie or needs a tiebreaker, we have seen the second run score sometimes come into effect. So take a look right here, looking for that landing. You see his foot slipped off the pedal. His weight was just a touch back over the bike, so when he wound up putting his foot on the pedal, it wasn't exactly where he wanted to be, and that was able to not give him the foot placement, and he just wound up washing out.
Don't wipe him off the slate just yet. Marin Rantić, like I was saying previously, was sitting very low on that qualification board coming into second runs yesterday. End up delivering a world-class performance and getting himself into the finals today. And starting off with that huge trick like that, I'm sure he's able to come back and answer with an absolutely incredible performance second run. So we're going to have to cross our fingers and hope that he does just that. But we're going back up to the top right now. Our first rider to drop of the day, our 8th place qualifier from yesterday's qualification. This is Daniel Darius. He's going to do it for the second run right now. See if he has time to push up his spot.
So what we're seeing right now is Daniel Darius getting into his mindset and getting into the zone. He actually sits on top of the ramp and visualizes exactly what he's going to do out on the course. He has a plan and he likes to stick to it. 360 tail whip to no-hander. Daniel Darius likes to win, so he's going to want to put a big score in. He's an 85.66, almost 5 points behind Nick Bruce. Oh!
Going down there, 360 tail up to bar spin on the step up. He had switched things up, going with a different trick right out of the gate, and just unfortunately not being able to get that flare tail whip right in front of us on the quarter pipe here. Huge shout out to Daniel Darius coming out and really putting a world-class performance down at the Battle of Champions here in Alas Oasis.
Yeah, so Daniel having some difficulty on his second run. As we look at some of the highlights, I just want to take a note of Daniel's bike. He actually has 2 cool features going on. He's also running a custom Mike Laird frame. Mike Laird's one of his friends from where he lives back in North Carolina. He does really cool custom geometry for a lot of the riders, and that black and white seat, that's actually a Dave Mira signature seat. Daniel Darius was very close to the late, great Dave Mira. You can actually see on the back of his helmet he pays some homage to him. So we miss you, Dave, and we're really happy to see Daniel Darius paying some homage to you. So our next rider coming back in for run number 2, he had an 84.66. We know he can move way up as far as points goes, because he's done it before. He got first place at the UCI Urban Cycling World Championships, so he's considered one of the #1 ranked riders in the world as far as points goes going to the Olympics in 2020. We're talking about the young rider, Justin Dowell.
Dowell waiting for his time to drop his catfish. Throws him into the bowl here, going backwards with that 360 look back, clicking it perfectly. Love watching that. Brings me back to the days watching dirt.
Dowell right here putting the big tricks and the style together. That alley-oop right there floating in a very cool line. So we're seeing Dowell charge back towards the hip. Let's see if he's going to do it again. Yes! 2 for 2 right there with that tail whip and bar spin combination put together. Let's see if he brings one of his signatures over the step, and he does!
Whoa.
That was a 360 Twix right there.
Whoa.
That was a huge trick. Dowell right now is on fire. Backflip double bar spin. He wants to be in that top spot and bump into the 90s, and Dowell right now is putting the goods together, which could potentially do that. 10 seconds for Dowell as he does a flare on the elevated portion of the course.
Absolutely incredible riding coming out of the young American Olympic hopeful right here. That 540 bar spin, finishing things off in a huge run for Justin Dowell out here in Saudi Arabia. I am absolutely blown away. Let's take a look at some of those highlights. That big one I haven't seen in person ever. Well, first off, let's talk about that. That 360, huge clicked look back. I mean, that really brings me into the style points. And we're talking about massive combinations. And this right here, a 360 Twix.
Yeah, that's insane. I mean, you have so much going on right there. You're kicking the back end of the bike around while you throw the handlebars in a 360. Most other riders are not doing the Twix. It's when the handlebars and the back end of the bike and a tail whip happen at the same time, let alone in a 360. That is a very difficult trick to do. Most of the other pro riders have not even thought about messing with that trick. Dowell put that down in the middle of his run. Also with that rotation, the tail whip and the bar spin over that hip. It was a big run. He had the backflip double bar spin, an 87 for Dowell. Wow. So the judges really want to see a little bit of that Nick Bruce flavor out here. Dowell did have the big run, but Nick Bruce is still going to be standing strong with a 90.33. Now, we know Nick Bruce, he's capable of a lot. And we know Nick Bruce is going to come out with the second run and really charge and look for another haymaker connection, because we still have 4 riders who we have not seen on the course yet. Oh! Yes, Nick Bruce put some style on a transfer, almost barrel roll, backflip, double tail whip. And a lot of height on that 360 flip, up the step up, now going to step down.
Flare whip right here on that quarter pipe, and then into that 360 downside whip, getting the channel over that Battle of the Champions logo. 360 double tail whip backwards on the box jump.
Nick Bruce is in his own zone and own element out here as he is just pouring it on over the box jump. This time we're seeing a 360 double downside tail whip as he goes coast to coast on the wall ride in the opposite direction. Nick Bruce flying through the airs with the downside tail whip over the hip. Let's see if he can keep it together for these solid last seconds. Backflip tail whip. Bruce is on fire.
And with height, let's add to that one. Huge amplitude and a tail whip, finishing it off right down to the last wire for Nick Bruce. Already sitting on top of the leaderboard. The only man pushing into the 90s with a 90.33, looking to only up his own score as he knows there's another heat coming.
Now, I want to take a look at some of the highlights right here. That backflip double tail whip was not a conventional one indeed. You saw he actually almost barrel rolled that out a little bit. I've never seen a rider do that. That's where his body position and weight was up. There's a backflip single tail whip, and you can see the difference between the two. One, he was more on that straight up and down axis, and the other he got totally sideways, and they were both totally rad in their own right. The only difference is on that second one, he did land a little bit flat in the transition, lost some of his speed. He didn't crash, and he was able to tail up on the next quarter pipe, but it didn't really allow him to have that big exclamation point at the end of his run. But at the end of his first run, he did have that little bit of difficulty on the landing on that 540 flare. So it's interesting to see how are the two dynamics going to compare as far as the numeric value is concerned. Again, he was rewarded the highest thus far in the competition with the 90.33. He's going to want to move that number up as much as possible because our top 4 qualifying riders have not taken the course yet.
Scores coming in here, so he's going to hold with his first run score. 89 even is coming in for his second run right there. Nick Bruce seems to have taken it on his first one here, so another 4 riders to go. We're going to have those athletes warming up in a bit, but first off, Marin Rantis from Croatia. He's going to be doing it for his second run. Marin Rantis now, he had a very difficult first air in his first run. Let's see if he can get redemption on this as he drops in to get some big speed, ending up for this 360 triple tail whip.
The pride of Croatia right there. Big transfer, charging towards the step up. Looking for that 3, over-rotating it just a little bit.
And that's going to be it. I'm sure he was looking for a combination out of that 360.
So Marin having some difficulty out there. Definitely disappointing that did not go his way in either of his runs, but I do want to take a moment and give some big respect to Marin. Not only is he a top rider in the world, but he's also working with everybody back in Croatia, where he's actually working on a local skate park where they're going to be building a lot of community ramps and building up the scene. It's so cool to see him working with the mayor of Croatia and also the head of sport out there. So Marin, you're a great ambassador for the sport. Again, very disappointing that today didn't go your way out on the course, but we look forward to seeing a huge season from you on the Feast World Series, which you can check out on feast.tv, where you can log on and see all of our upcoming season stops and see where all the different action will be. If you want to follow any of the Olympic points race as well, you can log on to uci.org, where they have all the information detailed along with any of the regional or national stops.
What you also can find online is our tour dates for the FIS World Series 2019. We got a little clip coming your way. Let's check out and see what's happened on the 2019 calendar for the FIS World Series. Welcome everybody, it's the FIS World Series.
The largest action sports festival in the world.
16 parks, 30,000 kilometers traveled, 500 athletes. All leads to here.
Firing it out, double bar spin. Holy smokes.
Perfect. Absolutely amazing.
The energy from the fans is phenomenal.
The largest BMX contest in the world.
The Olympics. Who could potentially qualify for the 2020 games?
When the smoke clears, we are going to have a champion.
So there you go. We're going to be starting things off next month in Hiroshima, Japan, moving forth then to Montpellier, France, and finishing off with the third and final tour date of 2019 in Chengdu, China. Right now, it's back to the action in Alas Oasis, Saudi Arabia for the FIS Battle of the Champions. If you guys are just tuning in, I am Ryan Meyer, joined by Daryl now, and we are getting the BMX Park Pro Finals underway, about to start heat number 2.
Yeah, that first heat, the scores coming in with Nick Bruce on top, the 90.33. He's the only rider to break into the 90s. We're going to want to see all of our last riders who are yet to take the course really pour it on and bump into the 90s or higher. So you can see the pride of Russia, Irik Ryzev, on course, getting ready to let things rip. And I love the fact this is such an international competition where we have all different countries represented. But right now, the Russian coming in with the tuck no-hander into a backflip tail whip into a no-hander over the box jump. A 3-hit combo that's very unique.
Coming up here for the step-up jump, 360 double downside whip. Irek was definitely coming out for the style yesterday, but let's see. Yeah, still going for a lot of this incredible tricks. There's combinations like that, 360 bar spin to downside tail, but then mixed in with a huge click turn down and a stylish trick like that toboggan right there into a tuck no-hander, but utilizing the course far different than other riders on those transitions. That was a 360 triple tail whip over the box jump. So like I said, combining huge difficult combination tricks with a lot of style. Superman C-Grab looking for the Indian air and going into a tuck no-hander.
Yeah, Ryan, these are tongue twister tricks as Irek Raizev does a downside 360 tail whip to no-hander. That was so cool because he was still traveling backwards by the time he took his hands off and a triple tail whip at the buzzer.
Perfect to pedals as well over the spine jump. That was not a box jump. He's only traveling, let's say, a third of a meter, half a foot in distance right there to make it over that spine jump. Get that perfect triple tail whip rotation. An incredible run from the young Russian. Let's take a look back.
Wow, great combos. That's the name of the game for his run. Combination after combination. Double downside 360 tail whip. So clean the way he's able to just stomp his feet on the pedals. There's that turn down you were talking about, getting his body completely tweaked to the side, using his height to the advantage. I love that alley-oop. It's called that because you're traveling backwards, but there was that crazy tail whip going on as far as he was in that 360.
And as well, such a difficult trick right there, that Superman C-Grab into tuck no-hander. You're going from one extreme, extending your body way over the back of the bike, coming back and putting all your weight and limbs off at the front end. It's just an incredible juxtaposition of a trick. Moving forward, though, we are going to have some incredible riders right now, but the judges are doing their best to tally up Irek Raizev's first run here and see where he's going to stand. Currently, your leader and the man to beat is coming from his first run score, Nick Bruce, in heat number 1 with that 90.33. What do you think Irek can push on scores?
Well, he had those triple tail whip variations that takes total commitment, especially over the spine and in a 360. He also did what you were talking about, unique lines on the course. This course was designed specifically for this event, so the judges want to see if a rider finds his own path out on there. Those two elements, then on top of it, all the unique combinations that you traditionally don't see, and then the style that's put in with that turn down or even the alley-oop drifting backwards, this could be a very big number that we're going to see. Our 3 judges up there are putting it together in an 88.33. All right, so that was a very big score. Moving up into that second place spot, he's going to be nestled between Bruce and Dowell.
Wow, so a big score right there, but not enough to take away first place. Moving forward then to the land down under, Logan Martin. Ready to drop in right behind us out here on the course.
Here we go, the Australian charging in. Logan coming to the box where he does his best work. Backflip bar spin to no-hander. Logan has been another rider on top of the leaderboards of most international contests over the last couple of years, and that is why an off-axis 720 bar spin catch bar spin. That was a very big trick for Logan as he just blasted over that step up. We're seeing Logan right there go further on the distance to set up for that transfer 360 double tail whip. Logan Martin is his own element right now as he fires back over that spine transfer the other way. This time doing an off-axis barrel roll backflip tail whip. Logan is just putting together the big hit after big hit on the course.
Yeah, talking big hit after big hit, the Brisbane boy knows how to do it in these contest formats. 360 downside tail whip in a wall ride to tail whip right there. Coming out of Martin, flying back up into the step up for one last trick, and it's going to be a flare. Finishing off things big and ending it all the way down. Full time frame, full course use. A very solid run from the young Australian.
Wow, Logan Martin just throwing some kerosene right onto the fire here at the Battle of Champions as he does a great extension on that no-hander after the backflip with the bar spin. But take a look right here at the 720 with the bar spin, catch, bar spin. The coolest part about that trick is the fact that he puts the hands back on the grips. He actually has to push his body weight into the handlebars to make sure he has the full commitment on that second rotation coming around. I loved his use of the course, Ryan, where he transferred from the spine into the box jump both directions. And then that wall ride to tail whip, that's not a conventional trick that we see out of Logan Martin. So it's cool watching him as a rider kind of mix things up a little bit, especially towards the end of his run. So the score to beat, you can see the 90.33. Nick Bruce just broke into that 90s. There's a lot of room to move up from there. Can Logan do it? And he does with the 93.33. So we got ourselves a new leader with 3 full points ahead of Nick Bruce.
Wow, what a machine. Logan Martin delivering here, a full 3 points ahead of Nick Bruce. So it seems like heat number 2 is the only one that can rival him now. Kostya Andreev, the other incredible Russian, starting off up here. We know what he's going for. We saw it in the previews already right behind us. Kostya Andreev has been learning some new tricks in the offseason. That means just adding to the video game-like riding ability that he has.
Yeah, Kostya actually has a YouTube channel. Whoa, backflip drop in. Getting totally sideways, grabbing the transition. He does have a YouTube channel where you can follow all of his exciting exploits on and off the bike as he travels around being a pro BMX rider. But right now he is doing that alley-oop bar spin as he finds the transition of that lip and nosedives things in. We talk about Kostya being an exciting rider because he does the very technical combinations with bar spins and tail whips, whether it's over a step up like this, actually putting the same exact tricks together we were talking about, or on the face of a ramp. That was crazy technical abilities. The bar spin, foot jam to the tail whip back in. He slipped a pedal, but not any other rider can do that.
And another incredible trick right there, that Superman seat grab to tail whip, wall ride to tail whip right out of that. And then going for some lit tricks like Kostya likes to do at the very end of his run. A little 360 nose tap to fakie on that quarter pipe, holding things together. Some incredible highlights coming at you live in a moment right here. Kostya Andreev trying to deliver, but my question is it going to be enough to stick on top? We have some incredible runs, and all of our top 3 right now are verging the 90s. Eric Raizev is the only man outside with an 88.33. Right here, catching some, yeah, this was the one I was looking for. 360 double bar spin to tuck no hander over that spine.
Yeah, I mean, this was a great run, and we're also seeing the wall ride to tail whip. This is actually, we saw it 3 times in this competition, which is so cool. Yesterday, I mentioned Scotty Kramer being one of the first riders to do that in competition, but I do also want to give some credit to Kevin Porter, who was also one of the first, and also Ruben Alcantara, who is one of the first guys to really bring it as far as his video part goes, or also on the streets as well. But if you're going to rewind the clock to the original OGs, shout out to Vic Murphy, the first rider to do a foot plant tail whip off to pedals. But Kostya right now put down his big second run, excuse me, a big first run, waiting for that score. And we are at heat number 2 right now as we are just working through all of our qualified riders. It is no easy job to put a number to the madness that we are seeing out here. I mean, Brian, I think every time you and I get a chance to travel around the world and meet different riders, the things always out of their mouth when we mention anything having to do with the FISE event is the crazy level of riding, and that run is going to get him an 85. The idea to put a number to the madness is just, I wouldn't want that job. I know that you wouldn't want that job. But the rider that does want the job out on the course was our #1 qualifier who came from Sydney, Australia. You can see him right there getting ready to roll in. We're talking about none other than Brandon Lupos.
A rider who's been able to deliver under pressure in the past. Hiroshima last year rings a bell for me as he was one of the few riders to brave out the wind conditions and really put it on the line, getting him and solidifying his win spot there with that first run. Let's see if he can do it out here, first run as well. Brandon Lupos on course, charging into the step up with a big cash roll right there.
Wow, into that tail whip over the channel, charging the box up with a double flip. That was crazy. First double flip we've seen of the entire weekend. Lupos putting things together.
Yes, Brandon Lupos, triple tail up on that huge ski booter of a hip. Massive look back right there. Some huge tricks coming out of Lupos.
Lupos no-hander over the step down. Lupos, another rider who was just inspired by Dave Mira, and we can see that as he brings together a big trick and style out there as Lupos is just putting things together with 11 seconds to go. Opposite wall ride for Lupos, looking to set up over the step up, 360 double tail whip.
Wow, on fire right here. I can't believe that he just threw that 900 middle of his run, then has time
for a 540 flare right there. I heard that that was a crazy run. That is definitely one to be lost for words, Ryan, as Lupos right now is just getting the love from the Saudi Arabian crowd. That was a big run. Lupos knows it. He is definitely psyched on that. That had all the toppings thrown on top of the sundae, the big tricks, all of it. You see him right there pointing up to the sky. I had a chance to talk with Lupos this morning about the late, great Dave Mirra and how much of an impact he had on him as a rider coming up, what a hero he is of his, and what the inspiration going into the contest. So you can see that cash roll. The crazy thing about it is that he had enough speed on the landing to set up for that downside tail whip over the channel and then charged in with enough speed to pull the commitment on that double backflip.
One word comes to mind right now, Australia.
Yes.
I think we're going to have the two boys on top right now, but it's going to be a comparison. Who is going to take one right now? 93.33 is the score to beat from Logan Martin. And Brandon Lupos pushing in, pardon me, with
a 95
even. An incredible, huge score coming out of the Australian boy. That means Australia 1-2 right now. Brandon Lupos with that 85 and a 93.33 from Logan Martin. A huge score for the two Aussie boys.
Yeah, you see Brandon right there giving a shout out, like we said, to the late, great Dave Mirra. Doing it for one of his heroes and also all of BMX's heroes, the icon Dave Mirra. His spirit is rolling strong here at the Battle of the Champions, and Lupos proving that with that 95. Look at that, top three scores are in the 90s. But as we go back to the top for their final run, the four riders that were top qualifiers that could all potentially shake things up. And our next rider rolling in is the Russian Yurik Ryzev.
So let's not leave him out of the equation as he's sitting in fourth position right now with a very respectable 88.3. Yurik Ryzev just has to clean a few things up, I believe, in his run. A 360 double tail, downside tail whip right here. Flare whip, he's on the gas. Let's see if he still goes to that turn down. He does. Great style, and love that he's holding to that 360 bar spin to downside tail whip.
Yeah, Ryan, the key word you said was on the gas, because he is just pulling the throttle back.
And he's missed a couple airs here, and that's going to be it. Yurik Ryzev holding up the hands, and that was it. He knows that he had to have a completely flawless run to compete with the two Australian boys out here today, but putting forth a world-class performance from the young Russian. Let's take a look at some of his replays right here. That backflip tail whip coming over the box, coming up in this step up, 360 double downside tail whip.
Now, Ryan, we just talked about the throttle being back for on the gas, and that maybe is what caused him to land a little bit flat. The riders have to be so precise with their speed when you calculate as far as how high you're going to go and the distance. So you're basically doing a physics equation on the fly, believe it or not. And maybe that little additional speed and gas is what caused him to land flat. If you don't land in the transition, you're not able to carry your momentum going forward, and it actually causes you to lose a lot of speed right there. So that is disappointing, the fact that he didn't get the chance to get his full second run. And you can see right there, he's talking with one of his Russian counterparts, Kostya Andreev, who has still yet to take his second run. So Yurik's first run is one that is going to wind up sticking.
That fourth place right there, 88.33, as we're going to move down to our next rider in the gate. It's going to be Logan Martin right here. He knows that he has what it takes to step it up. Currently sitting in second position, nipping at the heels of the fellow countryman. This is Logan Martin for run number 2, dropping in here.
Logan is a hyper-competitive rider, and he's also doing it for hyper bikes as he is charging in over that step up.
Ooh. Whoa, pulling out the stops. Cork 720 double bar spin. A bar spin on each one.
Whoa!
Those 360 rotations. Corked out backflip with a bar spin over that step down right there.
So the thing that we're seeing out here is Logan turning things up. You saw his first hit he had was the backflip. That's not what he wanted to do. Sometimes riders can get disappointed in that and lose their footing on the run.
Love the determination.
But right now, Logan has just found that footing as he is catapulting forward as the seconds go down with the backflip off-axis bar spin right there. No-hander back at us, 12 seconds to go. Let's see if Logan can put a bigger exclamation point at the end of his run, making up for what he didn't want to do at the start. 4 seconds. Logan coming up on the deck. Yes!
Woo!
Logan sticking that clean right there, that off-axis 540 flare, that flat spin. Some might even say it's somewhere in the 9 territory. I just say it's awesome, and Logan Martin putting down a big second run.
Wow, so one thing I have to say is determination, and what a competitive spirit coming out of Logan Martin. You saw right there that replay, the backflip out of the gate was not at all what he was looking for.
Yeah, I mean, Logan over the last few years has stepped up what it means to be a professional athlete in the term of a BMX competitor, and we saw that in live real time in this run. That backflip was not what he had in mind, and then he just turned it up. He had that second where he could have said, you know what, I'm just going to pull off to the side. I'm not going to maybe be in the running anymore. But you saw him then all of a sudden just grab onto the grips a little bit tighter and harder and said, you know what, I'm going to just turn things up and put my all out there. And Logan going upside down and around, spotting the landing at the final moments right there. So that score to beat is the 95.
From Brandon Lupos.
Australia dominating out here at the Battle of the Champions. We know that Logan is a very competitive rider. He strives in competition. Some riders turn away from it, do a little bit more of the underground thing, which is totally cool, but to see an athlete like Logan Martin bring things when it matters in the final is really something special. Oh, a 94, our second highest score. Not enough to get up to that top spot. That is a very impressive run right there. You saw him actually give a pound to Brandon Lupos. I like seeing that sportsmanship.
Countrymen, team men, both at the end of the day, friends. That is what BMX is all about. But now this leaves only one man left to this entire champions battle, let's say. Russians. Kostya Andreev is the only man who is able to rival Brandon Lupos, our first place qualifier, and our first place standing up in the gate right now. Kostya Andreev dropping in with that backflip drop in.
Yeah, Kostya is the only rider who's standing between Brandon Lupos and that podium finish. Kostya looking to get it done with that tail whip to bar spin over the hip. This time twisting in a pretzel with the look back into the can-can.
Stepping up with some of his tricks there. 360 double bar spin and tuck no hander. Had that one hugely high on that alley-oop wall ride. Tuck no hander and coming back up into this transfer.
You see that same line from his Russian counterpart, Yuri Kraizev, on that step up. Kostya over the box jump. 360 toe up to bar spin. Looking to just check the tricks off as we have 17 seconds to go.
360 bar spin to downside tail whip. And coming up here with a lip trick. Oh, going down on that bar spin foot jam to tail whip in. Unfortunate ending for Kostya Andreev's run. A big, huge round of applause from the Saudi Arabian public out here and all of us. That's an amazing performance and a big smile on Kostya's face.
Yeah, so Kostya going for broke out there. Big respect. We talked about being able to do the aerial tricks and also the lip tricks on the ground. You see the tail whip to bar spin. Two tricks he's very comfortable with because there's versions with the double bar to no-hander in the 360. And here's a look at the tail whip to bar spin over the box jump into 3. And right here is the lip trick he was going for. Coming up, looking for that tail whip around. That is so crazy. That is total upper body strength. He wasn't able to get his weight back under the pedals in time. He went over the handlebars. Thankfully, he's okay. You see him kind of just going up there. He's saying he shot himself on that second run. So his first run score will be the one that counts with that 85. So that means one thing and one thing only. We have one more rider to remain, and if your name is Brandon Lupos, you are already sitting in that top spot with the 95. So this is what we like to call, Ryan, a victory run.
Exactly, victory laps going for the Aussie. He qualified first yesterday, came out here, was the last man to drop in heat number 2, and ends up winning it with his first run. An incredible 95 even performance, only 5 points shy of 100% perfect. This is Brandon Lupos for the last time out here at the FIS Battle of the Champ. Was that a 10?
I think that might have been a 1080 out here. That was insane. I believe that was a 1080 over the box jump.
Completely caught my tongue on this one. I didn't know that was coming.
Yeah, 1080, the way that he does it, so stylish in his spins. That's why it's almost confusing to us, because similar to his 900s, he's got style. That is 360s over the box jump. Most riders struggle to get a 720, but he does that 1080 in his victory lap. Brandon Lupos showing you that he is a true champion, the cream of the crop out here at the Battle of the Champions. Wow, Lupos, big ups, a lot of love. You see him pointing up to the sky again. That's him paying homage to his hero, the late, great Dave Mirra. So much love, so much respect to Brandon Lupos. And also, it's really great to see Dave's influence just down here shining on all of our riders, especially the top competitor, Brandon Lupos.
Wow, an absolutely amazing final. I cannot believe that I just witnessed some of this riding, but that's what happens when you invite the top 12 BMX freestyle athletes to come out to a Battle of the Champions in the middle of the Saudi Arabian desert. You see the unofficial scores right there. We're gonna have a reveal and the full highlights for you guys on screen in a second. You see the crowd out there in drones. This is how it looks. First place, Brandon Lupo. Second, Logan Martin, Nick Bruce, Eric Reisev, Justin Dowell, Daniel Dares, Kostya Andreev, and finishing off our top 8 is Marin Rantes.
Wow, Ryan, what a final. The Battle of the Champions. Lupos coming out on top. Love and respect to Lupos, and also love and respect to Dave Mirra, who I know Brandon Lupos did that for.
Thanks everyone for tuning in to this incredible challenge that we had, the FIS Battle of the Champions. Thank you so much for joining us out here in Saudi Arabia. Ryan Meyer, Darren Now, thank you, and see you next time.
The love from